Tuesday, 4:21 Central Time, and I just wanted to say hello. Those of you who don't know me, I am Jillian Leslie, and I am host of the Blogger Genius podcast. And I wanted to pop in and talk about my newest podcast episode, which was a rebroadcast that I went live with on Wednesday. So there'll be a new podcast launching tomorrow, and they're related. So the one that I most recently posted is all about how to think about your content for SEO. And I interviewed the CEO of Yoast, which is that plugin many of you use if you are bloggers to optimize your content for SEO. And the woman that I interviewed was Marika van der Racht. And I'm sure that I have just mangled her name, but she was so lovely. So definitely go to the Blogger Genius podcast. I will put it in a link on Facebook so that you can listen to the episode. It is so worth it. So I was just talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about like what are her blogging goals for 2022. And one was SEO, because I don't know if people know this, but traffic that you get to your blog from Google is actually more valuable, especially if you monetize via ads, than traffic that you get from social media. So from Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest, someplace like that. So that's why I'm noticing people really leaning into SEO, which I think is really cool. And the thing I like about it is there's more strategy to it. It's a little more weirdly transparent if you know what you're doing. So of course, first thing you want to be doing when creating blog posts is writing something, creating a blog post on a topic that somebody wants to learn about. Write a post somebody wants to read. That's it. And the more concrete the problem, the better. Because think about your own searching on Google. What do? Like, I'm always writing questions like, how do I do this? Or what are the best mermaid party supplies? Or, there are things like that. And if there's somebody out there answering the question that I am asking, that's the blog post I want to read. So think about your niche and starting with your niche, because that is how you can start to grow. Somebody on my podcast said this a long time ago. I thought this was a really good visual, which is your blog is like a tree, and the trunk of the tree or the branches are the big kind of SEO concepts of what you want to potentially eventually rank for. But the way that you build the tree is not, it's kind of like what you want to be doing is building out the leaves of the tree, so that if you got a bunch of leaves, that branch becomes stronger. And that would be something you could rank for. And then those branches all work together to build your powerful trunk. So it's like building a tree, but from the leaves on down. And so what does that even mean? Well, the idea is that you, let's say, are in a certain niche and you solve problems. So if, for example, you're going after big keywords where there are big players in that space, your chances of competing with that blog or company or person are probably pretty low. But chances are there are smaller questions, smaller problems people are having that if you wrote that blog post, you could rank for that. And if you start ranking for certain solutions that fit together, then you can start to build authority, domain authority. And then you can start to rank for these related terms, which one builds your individual traffic for each post. Like if this post gets 500 searches a month and this post gets another 500 and this one, all of a sudden that does add up. But also then Google goes, wait a second, she really knows something. Maybe she is an authority on, say, like for Catch My Party, our other site. mermaid parties. Like right now, we do really well with first birthdays, girl first birthdays, boy first birthdays. So we do a lot of posts around those topics. So what kinds of posts? Well, we do things like party supplies for first birthdays, major themes. What are the most popular themes for first birthdays? Invitations. We do roundups of like invitations. We do dessert tables, presents. We do anything related to first birthdays. We are building out those leaves. So when somebody is searching for something about first birthdays, planning a first birthday, major themes, what are the most popular themes? We show up for Catch My Party. And that's how we build it. So what we think about is we notice where we are ranking for those keywords. So what related keywords could we continue to build so that it is like we have so many leaves and we just keep adding these smaller leaves. And then what we do is we have like master cornerstone posts. Like we will have one for boy first birthdays. And in it, we will talk about some of the basic how to think about planning a first birthday for a boy. And then we will link out to these different posts, like the smaller leaves that answer certain questions. And we link to them with anchor text that tells you exactly what we're linking to. So for example, instead of saying, hey, the best first birthday gifts, instead of going click here and we hyperlink the word here, we hyperlink the word best first birthday gifts or personalized first birthday gifts. And that then tells Google, oh, not only is this post all about first birthdays and themes and maybe how to have a first birthday in a pandemic, that kind of thing, but then we are also having all of these additional posts that relate. But here's the thing that Marika and I were talking about, and she said, you want to have a hierarchy in your posts so that not all the posts are connecting to each other, but that you want Google to know, oh, okay, start here. This is the main post. Like this is the kind of main, I would say, like drawing room in your house or like the big great room in your house. And then you've got these rooms off of the great room and it's all your house. But this is where you start because you don't want your posts to cannibalize on each other. You don't want this to compete with this, first birthday gifts, first birthday personalized gifts. Like you don't want that. So you want to make sure that within, let's say, first birthday gifts, I might do a post on personalized first birthday gifts, but that is only going to connect up to this post. So that therefore Google, and then this post is going to connect up to the big great room post. So this is how to think about your content. Everything is not weighed equally. You need to create this structure so that Google gets what you're trying to achieve and that somebody then starting in the big first birthday post now can go check out all these additional posts for more information. Hello, Taylor Mead. You wrote, I do love SEO, still haven't figured out how that translates into making ads though. Ooh, never thought about cannibalizing. Oh, good. Okay. So what do you mean that you don't know how that making ads? So the idea is the more traffic you get, the more you can potentially, like you can get into an ad network, and your ad network is serving up ads, and you will be making more per ad if your traffic, so the ad that's showing up on your blog, will be more valuable to you if that traffic is coming from Google than from Facebook. So that's kind of how it works. Or Mediavine, exactly. So Mediavine is your ad network. Great. So Mediavine knows where people are coming from to come see the ad they're serving up on your blog. And what they've discovered is that ads where people are typing into Google are in more of a buying mindset. Oh, no, not creating your own ads. It's if you monetize via ads. So somebody who comes to your blog from Google is in much more of a buying mindset than somebody who comes to your blog, say, via Instagram. Because on Instagram, they're wanting to be entertained. They click over for some reason. It's hard to get traffic from Instagram, but let's say they click over to your blog. They're less inclined to be purchasing than somebody from Google. So that's what I mean. So thank you for having me clarify that. Anyway, so you want to just be thinking, like the thing that I like about SEO is it's very logical. Like if you love on Google, Google loves on you. So the other thing that I am always a big fan of is go look before you do all this work, before you create anything, because creating a post takes a long time. And so you want to make sure that all of these, you're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall, but that you are making sure that what you're putting out there is something people are already searching for. So you don't want to create a market. Like you don't want to come up with something that nobody cares about or nobody has even thought of. You want to be answering questions and solving problems. If you can do it in a new creative way, that's awesome. So what I always do before I create a post is I go look at the top posts that show up when I search for whatever it is I think I'm going to create, because trust me, there are posts about every topic that you're probably thinking of writing. And see what these other people are doing. See if there's a hole that you could fill. Like, could you have more current information? Could you have better photos? Could you write it more clearly? Could you add a video? What could you have links to other things that are useful? Could you answer frequently asked questions? How can you create a better post? So it is about like looking at the competition and figuring out, could I beat them? Like that's the thing and to go directly after them. It sounds weird, but it is true. It's like you want to know what they're doing. And then you want to go, okay, I could do better. So that's something to always be looking for when creating, before you spend the time creating the blog post, rather than back, 10 years ago, we weren't thinking about this and we're just like, hey, let's come up with a cool recipe and put it up there. And today it's so much more intentional. But I do want to say, if you can solve problems, you're there and you're in a niche. Like this is always this debate. Like, do you need to niche down? Can you be a lifestyle blogger? All that stuff. And everybody's situation is unique, definitely. However, it's a lot easier though for Google to go, oh, right, she's the birthday person. She writes about like kids' parties, and that becomes like the specific niche versus, well, she writes about parties and she does travel and maybe she does some parenting and maybe she does some business coaching. Like that's a lot, and that's a lot for Google to have to parse through. So Google is smart, but they're not that smart. And so the more you can serve it up, the better. So for example, if you're doing any DIY, any recipe, make sure that you have a recipe plugin or something that creates structured data so Google can read your posts. Like you want to play nice with Google, and then they will play nice with you. So that's what I wanted. I think those are my main. Oh, this is the other thing. When writing blog posts, don't think about it for the screen. Most people are going to read and consume your content on their phones. So does it read well on your phone? Can you make it shorter sentences, more bullet points, so that big headers, so that people can get to the solution more quickly? And therefore, people talk about this like it's a recipe and it's your grandmother's recipe and you want to write about your grandmother and how you spent summers with her and all of that stuff. But the truth is, people want the answer to their question. They want the recipe, and maybe they're interested in you and your grandmother, but I would be putting that much lower. We used to put that way at the top, like read through my story and then get to my recipe. And today it's really get to the solution. And it's less about me, but it is about my beautiful photos or my helpful video. So it's much more focused on you, the audience, than it is on me. And that's like another switch that I think we all need to make. So I think those are all of my thoughts about, and definitely keyword research. You don't have to spend a ton of time on it. You can even do it. Do you also have a structured plugin? So we recommend like Tasty Recipes, WP Tasty. Those also work for They work also for crafting. So if you are a food blogger, you can use them. It's really just a way to be able to break up your content in a way that Google can see it. Another thing is if you pay for, I think, the premium Yoast plugin, you get things like a box for Q&A, a box for frequently asked questions that you can add to your blog post. And that's also structured data. And that's a way so that like Google can read it and potentially put you on the search page in the snippet, which is where it kind of has the question and the answer right there. One way to do that is frequently asked questions, because somebody is typing in like, can you substitute applesauce in a banana bread, for sugar or something like that. If you can answer those questions, or how mushy should your bananas be in your banana bread? Those are the kinds of questions that people will be searching for. And if you are thinking like, what would somebody search for? Put it in your post literally as a question with an answer. Google really likes that. So does that, let's see. Okay, Taylor, look to see if it's in the free Yoast in like the little Gutenberg boxes, the Gutenberg like boxes. And so see if it's there. If not, you might have to pay for the premium version. But that is definitely worth checking out. So, and Taylor, what is your blog? Will you let me know? Because I think we've talked about this before. I think I know. So if you could refresh my memory, that would be awesome. So the other thing that I wanted to just talk about that I'm really excited about is 2022. And yes, the world's kind of weird. So the way that I deal with the uncertainty is by focusing on what I can control. And what I can control is my business and how I want to grow it in 2022. And so what we are leaning into here is I'm leaning into MiloTree Easy Payments, which is our new platform to help you get closer to your audience. Miss Event Planner, yes, definitely. Well, yes, is a way to get closer to your audience by serving them directly and creating memberships, selling paid workshops, coaching, that kind of thing, having that real connection. And that's what we are trying to do with MiloTree Easy Payments. So I'm putting together this week an email challenge to kind of walk you through how to set up a paid workshop. I think it's going to be in like how to do it in 5 days, like with tiny little tasks every day. So please, in a comment, if you're interested in learning more about that and you want to just set up a paid workshop so easily, to see, it's a great way to test an idea, to float an idea in front of your audience and say, hey, do you want to learn about this? And paid workshops are a way to make money, but they're not, it's like you're not going to make $1 million on this. Really what it is it's a way to get people into your inner circle so that you can continue to serve them. And I think about it as like a purchasing ladder. Get them in. And if you blow their minds and you really deliver, guess what? They will buy from you again. And eventually, maybe they want coaching from you, or maybe they want to join your membership. Maybe they want to buy products from you. But it's so funny. I was just talking to a friend today, and she was making a ton of money from Facebook and got completely demonetized and has no idea why. And that income stream just went away like that. And unfortunately, that story is not as uncommon as you might think. And we become such slaves to these platforms and having to feed these platforms that we aren't taking our audience off of the platforms so that we can kind of own our own business. And we use the platforms to create a community, but then we kind of think beyond that in terms of serving them. So getting them on our email list. So Taylor, you made that mistake on YouTube. Taylor, have you thought about setting up a paid workshop? Would that be something interesting? If so, what could you teach your people, your community in an hour that they might want to learn from you. And the truth is, I say this, I go, well, what are you an expert in? And then people get all nervous and they say, oh my God, I'm not an expert in anything. And I say, no, what are you a small e, not a capital E expert, small e expert? Because that's what you want to be selling. You just need to be a couple steps ahead of where your audience is. And you need to have a lot of empathy to remember what it was like when you were just starting out in terms of the problems or the concerns or anything that you had to help them and help them on their journey. I feel like it's going to be a big deal, this whole kind of creator economy and figuring out how to monetize for ourselves so that we can build the businesses and get paid for all of this knowledge and expertise that we have. That is really like my hope for 2022 is that you make money directly from your audience, and I am here to help you. I just feel like there needs to be this shift where we control our own fate. It's much more like how I'm talking about SEO, and I'm saying, like, if you play by Google's rules, Google plays by your rules, you will benefit. Same idea. This is so that, again, you can start to separate from needing to be on all of these platforms, doing all of this stuff so that you can make money. Okay, pandemic tanked income revenue. Yes, I actually inspire people to start their own party business, but I was originally doing it on YouTube for ad revenue and selling printable guides on Etsy. Okay, so Taylor, is there something that you could teach people, a skill or to your community that would want to know? For example, how to make easy decorations or something like that. Think about whether there is something that you can teach them and bring them closer to you, and you can see what they are struggling with. So definitely, so please reach out to me if you think that's a cool idea and I can help get you started. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. And again, my big things I'm leaning into for 2022, I am really trying to get closer to my community, to you guys, to reach out to more people rather than kind of sitting back and waiting for people to reach out to me. So that's what I want to do. I want to dig deeper. I feel like this is such a potentially isolating time and a time where we are disconnected. So I want to connect. And so if you want to connect with me, please reach out to me because I would love to connect back. And I will be popping in again soon too. And I'm going to put a link to my newest podcast episode talking all about SEO for anybody who's interested. And if you are watching the replay, please put #replay because and where you're from, because I would love to know who's listening and so I can connect. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Bye-bye.